Hi, I'm Ayushi.
And I'm Ceasar, and
welcome to the podcast.
Ayushi, how are you?
How's it going?
This seems very weird. Here we are. We've been planning for months, weeks.
You have.
About trying to actually do this series, and here we are sitting in a studio somewhere in some place at MIT, with no windows and a whole bunch of styrofoam on the wall. But it's kind of cool.
We made it.
We made it.
So, Ceasar, what's the show all about?
Well, one of the things we have to do is we really have to find new ways for us to be together, right? It doesn't mean that means being together in a public meeting. It means being together in the way we're running campaigns.
Yeah.
But we can't continue to rely on organizations and methods that are about separating us.
Yep.
And that's going to require all of us to figure out how to do that. And particularly people like you, people of your generation who are like inside of government and organizations at these mid-levels who always have the responsibility, right? And yet are given no guidance of how to do that.
That's right.
Even in my own life kind of trajectory, as you know, I've always been kind of putting myself in these places where I'm kind of like the other. And being in that, it's really kind of taught me a lot about our need to kind of listen to other people. And interesting enough, I learned that lesson from a horse. Which is kind of weird, right? Because I was like, at one point in my life, I was a horse trainer, right?
What?
I had a horse farm in Oregon. And that's a different story, right? Because, how a black man who knew nothing about horses ended up running a horse place with 30 horses in the middle of Oregon is a story in and of itself. But the really cool part of it...
No.
It was strange, yeah. But anyway, I was like, the entry point into this, I was married at the time, and my wife at the time, who knew nothing about horses, either wanted a horse, and we had this horse. We were living in a place where it was possible to have one. I didn't know anything, but I did know that you had to exercise a horse. And they had this thing called a lunge line where, like you stand in the middle of the field and the horse goes around you on this rope, right? It's not something the horse wants to do. It's trained to do. It's not in its DNA that's a really good idea. And so I go out to the corral with this horse, and I'm trying to do this with, and the horse is just like breaking away and running. And as it runs toward me, I'm running away from it because I don't know what's going on. And our neighbor, this old guy, Ray Zorn, I'll never forget Ray. He's like 80 years old. He's like sitting there watching me, and he's just cracking up laughing. And he says to me, Ceasar. And I'm like, what? He says, the horse doesn't know it's bigger than you. Stand still. I go, oh. And I did. And it was amazing, because the horse was running around, but it would run up toward me and it would go by me, and eventually it stopped. And that was actually a profound lesson in kind of the whole issue of how you're able to put yourself in the shoes of another, right? Perspective taking, that, and it's not about actually being the other,
right? But
just realizing that in the world, you see the world from where you are, and other people are seeing the world from where they are, and it is the combination of all that actually is the truth, or a truth that we can move on collectively if we're able to do it. And, right now, I think in this society where we are, that issue of how we're able to kind of do that work, connect with each other around this whole issue of taking the perspectives of others is really important because, we're living these times where we're living with people who are just so different than us.
Yeah.
The body politic, the people we live with, people in our communities, they're so diverse.
Right. That
diverse is so complex. And if we don't have ways of connecting, understanding, and accepting that and working through that, then, we're kind of doomed. And it is particularly true for younger people, right?
Yeah.
Folks my age, we have our own experience with it and we see it, but the folks who have to really negotiate it, really make meaning through it are these folks who are, under 30 or so, who are just, that's the life they're living. And particularly for those folks who are like living and working in institutions, right? These kind of mid-level managers, and activists and community organizations and city government who always are out there as the front, really kind of bringing in the community and trying to connect people. And, we haven't equipped them, with the tools that they need to do that, ways of thinking about it. And they're kind of like all out there trying to make it up as they go along. And some of them doing great stuff, but they're often not aware of what each others are doing, and oftentimes struggling by themselves.
I feel that struggle a lot. You're like speaking to my heart here. A former community organizer, worked in city halls, middle management, and it's hard. You're right, I don't find a lot of people that look like me in these spaces, especially when you're in big institutions where change moves at a slower rate. I think it attracts a certain kind of person to work there. Someone who's more comfortable with stability, with change at a slower rate. And unfortunately, a lot of times those people don't look like a 23-year-old who just came out of college who's a 5'2" woman of color like I am. I mean, until the very last day working in Oakland City Hall, I was referred to as the intern, even though I was managing a team of many other people and leading presentations for the City Hall and talking to residents outside in West Oakland. I mean, you're right. We are kind of the front lines of democracy, but we don't have a lot of the muscle, or I don't have a lot of the muscle that I needed at the time to be able to interact with my constituents, with my fellow coworkers in ways that would resemble my values. And that's actually what brought me here. I'm so grateful to be able to sit face to face in front of you, because I'm here at such an amazing campus because I was looking for ropes to hold on to that I couldn't find at an institution like Oakland City Hall. It's a great institution. It taught me a lot of things, but there are very, I think, important struggles in how do we interact with people that don't see eye to eye.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, the way that we see others isn't always reflective of how they actually are. And I haven't been taught in formal environments prior to this one how to look at those people and really see them and understand those experiences for their validity despite their difference.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's interesting too, because it's not only this issue of how people are different and stuff, but a lot of times people like yourself, I'm sure this happened to you lots of time, where you're kind of like tasked with, okay, go out there and bring the community together. Start this community meeting.
Right.
We need to have different voices here. And, you're working maybe off of the best out of organizing tradition and stuff like that.
Yep.
But, those systems, even our organizing frameworks, are frameworks of opposition.
Yep, they are.
They're about build up your side, get your power so you can struggle within its midst.
Absolutely, yep.
And we're not actually giving people, setting them up for, the issue of, what's the framework for democracy?
Yep.
Do you know how to do that?
Yep.
Do you know how to go out and create something that's actually going to make it possible for this complex public to actually see itself as in this together? And, as that's kind of what I've been working on for the last couple of years. And, we've kind of starting to do that work, and this series is a part of trying to hopefully share that with folks, because, as you said, it's about building our muscle for democracy. And we have some ideas of some of the things you should hold on to, some of those ropes that could guide you on how to do that a little bit better. We got a rope for thinking about equity as you're doing it. We got one for really thinking about working with people who are at the margins, or as we like to say, there's that old saying, the first shall be last.
Yes.
And we think in actually designing and building new ways for us to be together, we need to think about the people who've been last first.
Yeah.
Right? And actually make it for them. So throughout this series, we'll be looking at all 8 of our principles, and every week we'll be exploring another one. So that's us. I'm Ceasar.
I'm Ayushi.
We'll see you on the mats.